Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club. And it is the 9th of July. I hope you all are having a fantastic day. I hope you're having a fantastic beginning of the second half of the year. I know I certainly am. I'm enjoying the weather. Although it's hot, I'm enjoying the weather. I'm enjoying time with family and friends and loved ones and people who are special to me. And I hope I'm special to them. And I hope you all are doing the same thing. If you're stopping by for the first time, please know that you are seeing a person who is here every Tuesday for 1800 seconds, just trying to offer some inspiration, some motivation, and not only that, but trying to challenge myself along with my friends to make sure that we are our best selves, even in the worst of situations, trying to make sure that we show up with our integrity, we show up with our character intact, and we show up just with a positive, upbeat, optimistic kind of attitude because there's enough negativity around. I'm telling you, there's enough negativity in our local spaces, in our national spaces, and in our international spaces, and we don't need it on our social media platforms. So that's why I'm here these Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thanks to those of you who have been with me for quite a while, and for those of you who are just coming around and you're just joining and you're just hopping on board and you're getting on this train where we're always heading to this space that's called better. That means that we're positive. We have a positive outlook about our future. So for us, better doesn't mean that it's going to happen 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years from now. Better happens as soon as we believe in our hearts and minds that this is not as good as it gets, and this is whatever. Even if I'm in a bad situation, it's not going to be this way always. If I am in a good situation, this is not as good as it gets. So welcome to this train that's called better. I want to thank again those of you who are joining me. And I'll tell you what, if this is your first time, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And after you subscribe, do me another favor, click on the notification button because it lets you know whenever I've gone live, whenever I've uploaded new content, those sorts of things. So thank you all. I hope again that you are hydrating. Please let me know that you are hydrating in all of this heat, that you're getting your proper rest, so that you're eating nutritious and healthy meals because it is important. You are what you eat and what you drink. So take care of yourselves, take care of your bodies. Make sure that you check in on the young people, check in on the elderly, check in on yourselves, and make sure that you are aware of how you're feeling, you're aware of how you're doing. So I don't want you all to take your health for granted. And that's what I'm going to talk about this evening, making sure that you don't take yourself for granted. There are some people who are taking themselves for granted, and they're overlooking their time, and they're overlooking their health, and they're overlooking their values, those sorts of things. I had a conversation last evening with a group that I teach, and I was talking about understanding and knowing your values, recognizing the same thing that you see in other people, be able to see it in you. But I'm getting ahead of myself, but I come back to that because that is a subject that's always near and dear to my heart. Make sure that you understand and you recognize your values. Make sure that you understand what the Creator took the time to pour into you. I'll get to that. Cutler, slow down, but I'll get to that in just a minute. But it is so critical and so important for me to try to encourage people in that vein. Appreciate what is in you. Appreciate what you have. Appreciate what's in your hand. Appreciate what's in your heart. Appreciate what's in your life. Be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I appreciate the man. I appreciate the woman that I see looking back in the mirror. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But again, thank you. Let me just do a favor. Let me do this and shout out the LTTC VIPs, the one that I see on this end. Now, these are the people that I see who have come over into the chat. Go on and tell somebody while I am shouting out the LTTC VIPs. Go and tell somebody, come on, let's talk to Cutler, because he's going to talk this evening about not taking yourselves for granted. How many of us can say that we have taken ourselves for granted before? We put ourselves behind everybody, behind everything else. We put ourselves on the back burner. We put ourselves on the second seat. Cutler, don't get ahead of yourself, but go ahead and acknowledge the LTTC VIPs, and then you can come back to this topic and keep on going. Can you all tell I'm anxious to get to the subject this evening? Again, it is the 9th of July, 2024. The first 3 people that I see over in the chat are Annie Cutler, Hattie Boone, Linda Martin. Good evening to all of you. I see the others of you who have joined in. Thank you all again. But I want to talk about this, you all, because again, I was having a conversation last evening with a group that I'm teaching, and I was saying to them, make sure that you understand the value that you have. Make sure that you understand your gifts and your talent and your knowledge and your wisdom. Make sure that you understand the power of everything that you possess. Make sure that you understand what the Creator took the time to place inside of you. And then as you're taking the time to understand what is within you, appreciate it. Tell yourself that you like what you see. You like who you see when you look in the mirror. Sometimes people and life and our history has caused us not to be able to see the beauty and the strength and the value that we possess. We would turn a deaf ear and we would turn a blind eye as we're walking by the mirror. because somehow somebody has told us that it's egotistical, that it's conceited, that it's self-aggrandizing to be able to appreciate ourselves, but it is not. In fact, I think it is just the opposite. I think it is an offense to the Creator when we walk. You all know one of my favorite movies is The Color Purple, and one of my favorite quotes from The Color Purple, one of my favorite scenes was when Suge Avery and Miss Celie were walking through through the fields, and they were walking through all of these beautiful flowers. And this is really where the title comes from. They were walking through the fields, and they were walking through this field of beautiful flowers. And one said to the other, "I'm sure it must piss God off how we can walk past The Color Purple and never even notice it." I wonder if it offends him that we can walk past a mirror and don't even notice the value, the beauty that is inside of us, the strength, and all of the things that are inside of us. Do you not know that you really are the handiwork, the highest form of his craftsmanship? So listen, don't take yourself for granted. And I want to talk about why we do that. Where does that come from? Because the truth of the matter is that there's something powerful about appreciation. It is the one thing that we yearn for. It is the thing that we look for, the thing that we long for. We all like appreciation, even if it is a matter of appreciating somebody else. And we all want to be appreciated. And I think, I don't know if you all are anything like me, one of the things that really sort of gets under my skin is when I feel like I've been taken for granted. That is so offensive, because you understand to some degree that you are a valuable person. You like people, you love people, and you know when you have this, when you have this aura of peace and this aura of love, and you have all of that. And sometimes when it's taken for granted. And so you have to be careful about allowing other people to take you for granted, because you would do the same thing to yourself that you've allowed other people to do. Sometimes people are taking you for granted because they see that you've taken yourself for granted. And you have to ask yourself, why are people taking me for granted? Why are people disrespecting me? Might it be that you're taking yourself for granted? Might it be that you are disrespecting yourself? And so you have to be careful with what you invite, what you allow people to see in terms of how you self-care. And you have to be careful about that. Because again, if you are taking yourself for granted, other people will do the same thing. Cutler, how do I take myself for granted? One of the ways that we sometimes take ourselves for granted is our time. We allow other people to do it, and we take ourselves for granted. Do you keep a schedule? Do you maintain your own schedule? Do you value your commitments? Do you value the time that you set aside to be and spend and meet with others? Do you adhere to your own boundaries when it comes to time? Or do you consistently alter your schedule? Do you change your schedule all the time? You have to make sure that you don't take your time for granted, because if you take your time for granted, other people do the same thing. Make sure that you don't do that. It's nice to be flexible from time to time, yes. But you have to make sure that you are sensitive to the schedules that you put in place, that you are sensitive to the time restrictions and the barriers that you have told yourself that you will observe. Honor your commitments, and don't let others dishonor them. So one of the things that we sometimes take for granted is our time, the time that we've been given, the time that we're using, the time that we are spending navigating throughout this thing that we call life. Don't take your time for granted, because if you do, others will. Are you the kind of person sometimes you will host an event, or you would tell people to meet you here, meet you there, and they show up late? Maybe they show up late because they know that you are the kind of person who shows up late all the time. Or they say, so-and-so is never on time, so I'm just not going to be on time either. Don't we know people like that who are always late? And others will say, you know what, because he or she is always late, if he or she tells me 7 o'clock, I'm going to show up at 7:30. That means we've taken our time for granted, and then we've allowed other people to do it, but they do it because they've seen us do it. Be careful about that. Sometimes we take our loyalty for granted. The loyalty that we have for other people, the loyalty that we expect other people to have for us. Because I believe that you just cannot allow people to walk over you and treat you any kind of way, or to treat you unfairly, when you are the kind of person who values relationship, you value friendship, you value camaraderie, you value collegiality. And if that is the case, then you cannot allow people to walk over you and take you for granted, because when you allow that to happen, then you begin to take your own loyalties for granted. What do loyal people do? You look out for those who are around you. And that means if you look out for people who are around you, then you deserve better than that, because sometimes you are so busy looking out for the people around you, making sure that they are taken care of, making sure that all is well with them, making sure that everything is good for them. And while you're looking out for them, no one is looking out for you. And you seem to say it is okay that no one is looking out for me. It's not okay. Don't take your own loyalty for granted. Sometimes we say, well, you know what? I am a better friend than the people who call themselves friends to me. That ought not be so. Not with everybody in your community, not with everybody in your village, not with everybody in your circles. You ought not be the nicest person in your circles all the time. You ought not be the most respectful in your circles all the time. People ought to be equally nice. People ought to be equally respectful. And we have to come to a space and a place where we command and demand that. Don't take yourself for granted. These are the things that I want to talk about this evening. Then don't take your skills and your values for granted. Sometimes we look at other people and we say, oh, they are so good at what they do. It is amazing how they do that. And all the while, you are diminishing what you can do. You are devaluing what you do excellently. Some of us spend years working on a single, with a particular company, a particular job. And we do that, and the whole time we're feeling incompetent. Like, I really don't know what I'm doing. When that's not the case at all. You've become a master at what you're doing. You've become excellent at what you do. So don't take your skills for granted. You have to own the fact that you are skillful. You have to own the fact that you are talented. You have to own the fact that you are good at what you do. And there's nothing wrong with seeing yourself as skillful and competent and talented and good at what you do. Absolutely nothing is wrong with that. We've allowed people to cause us to downplay what we know to be true about ourselves. We are excellent at what we do, but for some reason we've allowed people to downplay it. And so now we just say, oh, I'm okay, I'm decent, I'm pretty good. When the truth of the matter is, you know you're excellent at what you do. So I'm here with an offering of a reminder that you are excellent at what you do. You are excellent at how you show up. You are excellent at how you be. You are excellent at how you present. You are excellent at how you interact with people. You are excellent at how you talk to people. You are excellent at how you command and captivate people. You are excellent at what you do. Don't allow other people to cause you to diminish the excellency that you possess. Can I tell you that's the lesson that I had to learn in life? Because sometimes people made me feel bad for being good at the things that I was good at. They would say things like, you think you're better than anybody else, when nothing could be farther from the truth if they had only known. If they had only known the fact that I walked around with low self-esteem, that I walked around with insecurities, I walked around with anxieties, if they would have ever known, if they would have ever been able to peel back the layers of the onion, they would have never said to me, you think you're better than anybody else, because the truth of the matter is, I did not think I was as good as anybody else. Be careful how you allow people to talk to you, and be careful how you talk to people. So I've come from the strength of my journey, from the wisdom of my years, to remind you that you are excellent at what you do, and it is okay to own the excellency with which you do things. Don't let people make you ashamed of being good at something. So not only did people say to me, you think you're better than anybody else, when that could not have been, that was not the truth at all. I grew up below poverty level. I grew up wearing hand-me-downs and all kinds of things. So that was so far from the truth. But I've grown into a space where, no, I don't think I'm better than anybody else, but I don't think anybody else is better than I am either. I think that I deserve to be in this space just as much as anybody else. And Tracy, the sad part is, right. Thank you, my friend, for putting that in. Sounds like they were jealous, and sometimes those were adults when I was just a child. So sometimes it was a matter of jealousy, sometimes it was a matter of intimidation, and sometimes it was a matter of cruelty. People can be cruel to each other. So not only did I hear sometimes that you think you're better than other people, you think you're better than everybody else, but then I would hear you think you're smarter than everybody. Nothing could have been farther from the truth. I was academically gifted. And even at that young age, I understood that my ability to learn did not come from me. I knew it was a gift. And it is one that I honored. It is one that I made sure I was a good steward of. I didn't kowtow to peer pressure and fail to perform excellently. It was a gift. My academic achievement was a gift, and I handled it well. But people would say to me, "You think you're smarter than anybody. You think you know more than everybody." And there I was as a youngster thinking, I thought I had this thing that was to be celebrated. And to feel that it was not appreciated was challenging for me. It was demoralizing for me. So I want us to take a look at the value that we possess. And for the times when people have caused you to try not to see the beauty that you possess, the strength that you possess, and all of those things, I want to rip back the layers to the onion and send you to the mirror and say, now take a look in the mirror with your bad self. And when you see the strength of who you are, you don't allow people to take you for granted, and you stop taking yourself for granted. And it helps you with going in and out of spaces and in and out of circles. You don't feel like everybody's talking about you when you walk into a room. You don't feel like people are judging you when you walk into a space. You get over all of that. Can I tell you this, that's just a part of my journey? Making you feel bad because you're academically gifted or you're talented or you're skillful in sports and athletics and all of those sorts of things. Don't allow people to take you for granted. And so stop taking yourself for granted. Even some of us in our older years, we still take ourselves for granted. We think, life hasn't been that fair to me. And so now I have no value. I have nothing to offer. We're still looking for purpose. We're still looking for destiny. We're still looking for callings. And we're looking for all of those things. We're looking to see, well, why am I here? What is my purpose? You're still alive because the Creator wants you alive. So stop taking yourself for granted. Get up every day and say, you know what? I'm going to self-care and self-love somehow. If other people want to take themselves for granted, let them go right ahead. But don't you be in that circle. Don't you be in that space. They may be accustomed to being walked on like a carpet or like a rug, but don't fall into that space. Don't fall into that trap. And can I tell you another thing that you need not take for granted? You all, and I'm so very serious about this. Please hear me clearly when I say this. I am so very serious. I don't know if we're going to spend the whole 1,800 seconds, but I'm so serious about this. One, don't take your time for granted. Don't take your loyalties for granted. Don't take your skills and talent for granted. And may I say this time and time and time and time again, do not take your health for granted. Because it's good while it's good. And it's good while you have it. But don't take it for granted. Sometimes we take our health for granted until we get sick, but don't do that. Check in on yourself, check in with yourself, check in with your physicians, check in with your medical team, check in with your medical staff, check in with your nutritionists, check in with your dietitian, check in with your therapist, but both emotional and mental and physical. Just make sure that you check in so that you're checking on yourself and not taking yourself for granted. Don't take your health for granted. Don't do that. Be kind to yourself. Be good to yourself. Be a good steward over the one life that you have. Because guess what, you all? We don't get there is no do-over. I'm not here to talk about the theory of reincarnation or any of those sorts of things. But in my mind, in my heart, in my set of values, there are no do-overs. Absolutely none. I'm thinking about recently all of the deaths that that I have heard about, that I know about, some of the services that I participated in, some of the eulogies that I've delivered. I'm thinking about all of those in recent days, weeks, and months, and there are no do-overs. Don't take yourself for granted. Don't take your time for granted. Enjoy life. Make the best of life. Make the best of life. Don't take yourself for granted, your health, or any of those things. Thank you, Linda. Linda says, because those bad habits when you are young may catch up with you when you get older. May I say this to you? One of the things, and sometimes I say this tongue in cheek, and I say it sort of jokingly, and I say, well, you know what? There are things that the Creator might forgive you for, but your body won't. Let that marinate for just a moment. There are things that people and the Creator might forgive you for, but your body won't. Your body remembers. Your body remembers how you treated it. And your body is going to respond to how you've treated it over the years. Be good to your health. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take your time for granted, putting off things for tomorrow that you can do today. Earlier today, I was having a conversation with some of my family members, and I was talking about some landscaping that I wanted to have done, and that I was going to eventually do. Eventually, now you all can laugh at me now. Some landscaping that I wanted to eventually have done. Well, some of my relatives decided that I didn't need to put off for tomorrow what I can do today. So in the scorching heat, I had to make a few trips, buy a few plants, flowers, and just moments before I came on for this broadcast, I was out. So if it looks like I'm a little roasted, a little toasted, it is because I've been out in the heat. Because my family gave me back the same thing that I often give to others. Don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Take the time to be a good steward over your time. Be a good steward over your life, and enjoy the time that you have. Enjoy the loyalties that you possess, the loyalties that you share. Command respect when you are loyal to other people. Command and demand respect. Make sure that you fully appreciate the power of what you possess, the excellency that you perform in and out every single day. I was saying to someone maybe a couple days that you are worth any investment that you make. And you need to say that to yourself. Get it posted or whatever you need to do, and tell yourself you are worth any investment that you make in you. We invest in so many other people, so many other things, so many other causes, so many other organizations, so many other spaces and circles. Invest in you and be okay with that, and don't take yourself for granted. Tell yourself, I'm worth every dollar that I spend on me. Now, I'm not talking about a frivolous spending. I am not. I am not. I need to be very clear because I don't want to get in trouble with anybody. I am not a proponent of frivolous spending, but I am a proponent of self-care, self-love, and taking care of yourself. Oh, absolutely. Yes, I am. And part of my conversation today, when I was lamenting over the money that I was spending on landscaping, I said to one of my relatives, "Oh my goodness, you all are just having a good time spending my money." And then I said, "But you know what? I can't take any of it with me. Can't take any of it with me." So be good to yourself. Be kind to yourselves. Don't take yourself for granted. Don't allow other people to take you for granted. It is one of the most common problems that we see, or that I see with people who are sometimes depressed and sometimes to see life on the low end of the spectrum, and they see life through gloom and doom. It is because they have taken themselves for granted, and they've allowed others to take themselves for granted. And then all of a sudden what happens is that you will lash out at yourself for making a mistake, for not getting it right, for failing, for fumbling, for stumbling, and you will begin to beat yourself up. But if someone else did the exact thing, you'd offer them grace. You'd offer them mercy. You would offer them encouragement. I wish I could turn the mirror and say, now offer that person grace, offer that person forgiveness, offer that person mercy, offer that person another chance to get it right, and let that person be you. Don't be the one who says to him or herself all the time, I should have done that. I could have done that. I ought to have done this. Don't be that person. Look at the things that you have done. Look at the things that you have accomplished. Look at the things that you have achieved, the things that you have obtained. And be less punitive on you. Be less judgmental about you. And give yourself space to keep growing and enjoying the dynamics of life. You all, I want to say thank you all so much for allowing me to share this time and space with you. Please understand that this conversation comes from the bottom of my heart. Stop taking yourself for granted and don't let others do it. Enjoy life, respect your time, defend your loyalties, defend your space, command and demand respect. See the value in who you are and keep right on going. Make no apologies for being the excellent you that you are. Thank you all. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep building this community. Let's keep building community and maintaining connectivity. Do me a favor, keep your heads up, keep your hopes up. Stay safe in this heat, stay sane, don't let people drive you crazy. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love, and there's nothing that you can do about that. And then make sure that by the next time we talk, you want to tell somebody else, come on to talk to Cutler, because from time to time, the man really does talk to us from his heart. And from time to time, he really does have something to say. So do me a favor, come on and talk to Cutler. All right, you all, take care. I'll see you the next time I see you. And McDina, you're right. Live life unapologetically. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye-bye.